Good afternoon from Disturbia. Another dull, dingy, dirty, very disgraceful day here in the Rhine-Main area of Germany. This is the kind of sky totally sprayed in. Lots of big hard sun, and we have gnats like you would not believe. G-N-A-T-S. Horrible. And they drive the horses crazy. They go up their nose. They go. In fact, they were driving me crazy also. But this is what the man of sin wants and needs in order to manifest. He needs a very low vibration, which means that there's suffering happening. And I mean, people are suffering under this sprayed in sky, whether they know it or not. That's the beauty of it for Satan, because people call it good, what is actually evil. Anyway, I just made a video yesterday called Have the Scales Fallen from Your Eyes, something like that. And somebody asked me a question about Assyria, so I will try to be as focused on just Assyria as I can be. I believe that Germany is Assyria, because we know that all of the children of Israel speak a derivative of German. That means they must have been all together at some point in a country that spoke German, and that it would be Germany. Derivatives of German are English, Dutch, Norwegian, Swedish, Danish, also Icelandic, and the Gaelic is also related. Gaelic is the language spoken by Irish people, at least it used to be. But of course, the British very much frowned upon the Irish having their own language. But I wanted to stick to Assyria. I believe that Assyria is the tribe of Dan. I did a video on this. And my reasons are stated in the video. Please, it sounds really pompous to refer people back to other videos, but I just wanted to stick to Assyria. I do believe that the tribe of Dan represents Assyria. Now, that does not mean that Esau is not here. Esau is everywhere. Everywhere that Jacob Israel is, you have Esau there imitating him with his yoke upon the children of Esau, of Jacob Israel, who Esau calls white trash. How do I know this? How did I find out? Years ago, I was listening to a YouTube channel that is now defunct called, I believe it was called something like Euro Radio. I'm not sure. Something Euro, something radio. It's not on YouTube anymore, as far as I know. And they were talking about the Israelites and the tribes of Israel. And just listening to that, I recalled from my university days. I did go to the University of Frankfurt for 4 semesters, but I had to have open heart surgery and I stopped studying. And after that, my husband and I bought a house and I had to go to work full time, and I could not study and work. I just didn't. When the work day was done, I could not concentrate anymore on anything, and it was too much of a rat race for me, so I quit studying. But I was studying German to get a master's degree here, and back then you had to have what they call das große Latinum, which is Latin, ancient Latin, and we had to translate. I think it was called Bello Gallico, which means a war with the Gauls. And who are the Gauls? Well, the Gaul relates to Galilee and relates to the Galilean, who is Christ. The Galileans were the disciples of the Messiah. This is in the Bible. Just read it. You'll see that the Galileans spoke a little bit differently than everybody else, and they were always recognized by their speech. Peter was recognized by his speech. Look that up. Just Google it. It's also in the book of Acts that the Galileans spoke a different dialect than everybody else. So it's no wonder they had, British names, English names. Germanic names. Peter, John, etc. Those were probably their real names. Anyhow, I recall the days when we were reading Caesar at university in this class, and I then put two and two together and realized that these Gallier were not Gallier at all. They were the children of Jacob Israel. They were the Hebrew people. It was called Germania, and ger, the prefix ger, means spear, and they used to fight with spears. Just like they used to live in tents, they used to fight with spears. And then, as I was reading the Bible, because I had started reading the Bible, I don't know when exactly. I think it was something like 2010, 2011. I started reading from the very beginning and just going back and just going through the Old Testament over and over again. I mean, it took quite a while to finish it. But anyway, I came across this name that was called Tiglath-Pilneser. I don't know how you pronounce it in English. It's Tiglath-Pilneser. And I got to thinking about this name, Pilneser, and I realized that it could mean that, because Pilsener in German is a kind of beer. And I know that they were brewing beer in Czechoslovakia. I think that's where they first started brewing beer, even though it is a very ancient drink. They were brewing it, as far as I know, in ancient Egypt. And they were brewing this beer in a place called Plzen, which is in what they used to call Bohemia. And probably the man's name was Tilgat of Pilsen, because this Pilneser means of Pilsen, or it could ostensibly mean that. So when I realized that, I thought, oh my gosh, the Assyrians were in Bohemia, which is right next door to Bavaria in Germany. And just as a side note, the Bavarian flag, they have their own flag. They're considered their own country. Now, it could very well be that Assyria is Bavaria, and Bohemia used to, as far as I know, belong to Bavaria. And the Bavarian flag is blue and white, and similar to the Israeli flag, which is also blue and white. So there is some connection there. And now, of course, Esau was everywhere. Everywhere that Jacob Israel went, Esau was there prodding him, pushing him, because Esau has the yoke on Jacob Israel. It used to be that Esau was under the yoke of the Israelites, but that yoke was broken. They broke that yoke off themselves. It's in 2 Chronicles, I do believe, because of the King Jehoshaphat, who joined forces with Ahab. And he should not have done that. And then after that, the Israelites became very weak, and then they were taken in waves to Assyria, which is Germany. And when I realized that, I Googled Assyria is Germany, and I found myriad articles about it. There are also videos on that. I actually found a pastor who spoke a message on Germany being Assyria, and he said, look out for what Germany is doing. Now, somebody asked me, to what extent is the yoke of the Assyrian on us? I thought it was only Esau. We've got everybody's yoke on us as children of Jacob Israel. We've got the Philistine yoke. The Philistines are the Catholic Church. Take a look at what they've done to Ireland. Take a look at what those Philistines have done in Ireland. All those children of Jacob Israel, who I believe are Ephraim. Scotland, Wales, and Ireland, I believe, represent by and large Ephraim. And what they've done, especially to the Irish. The Irish are the most downtrodden of all of them, but they were always fighting. That's why they call them the Fighting Irish, at least in English. The Fighting Irish. There's a school called Notre Dame, and it's known for being Catholic. And of course, if you think of Catholic, you think of Ireland. I'm not sure, maybe it has Irish origins, I don't know. But they call the Notre Dame team the Fighting Irish. And they have always been fighting for their language, which is Gaelic. They've always been fighting for their land and for their freedom. And now, of course, they're overrun. I've read that you can't even live in Ireland anymore, really. It's just too expensive. It's impossible. And the people that live there are not even Irish, if you know what I'm saying. It's very liberal now there also, and they've destroyed Ireland. They had that false fake potato famine. They wanted to completely root out the children of Ephraim. You see, Ephraim doesn't even know who he is, but his enemies do. So we've got these enemies. But Esau in particular, the Philistine in particular, and also Ishmael. And I did a video not too long ago about Esau using Ishmael as his broom to sweep out and rid the earth completely of the children of Jacob, Israel, through Islam. You know, they say that the Crusades were Christians killing people if they didn't convert. That's a bunch of baloney. The Catholic Church is not Christian. I mean, they will tell you that they are the original Christian church. They are the original Talmudic Christian church, which is Antichrist. They worship the Queen of Heaven, who is Satan. They believe that Jesus is in the host, and they're eating the host. This is total Baal worship, total. Anyway, I'm getting all excited, pardon me. So, the extent also of the wars, we had World War I here, we had World War II here. What was the result of World War I and World War II? The so-called founding of counterfeit Israel. Why did we have to have World War I and World War II in order to found counterfeit Israel? Well, scores and scores of the children of Jacob, Israel, were being slaughtered. In fact, they were slaughtering each other because Esau set it up that way. There's all kinds of bloodshed. You see, they know that the Lamb was slain from the foundation of the earth, but since they're Antichrist, they do not accept the Lamb. And Satan always requires a blood sacrifice for a foundation. This is referred to in Joshua, and it's also referred to in, I forget where, probably Kings or maybe even Chronicles. I'll have to look it up and put it in for you in the comments. But anyway, and that Germany is concentrating now on going to war with Russia and Ukraine. They want to go to war. And if you read in the Bible about the tribe of Dan, it mentions in Jeremiah the tribe of Dan and horses. The horses of Dan were heard snorting. Why were they snorting? Because they're war horses. They are horses of war. There was a play called War Horse, and they turned it into a movie not too long ago. And anyway, these horses of Dan are war horses. That's why they're snorting. They can't wait to get going. They can't wait to go charging into the battle. And that's another reason why I believe that Dan is Germany. It is not Judah. There are many that say, oh no, Germany is Judah. Well, who do they call? Satan, the lion of the tribe of Judah, pretending that he's the Messiah. So the false Messiah is very much equated with Assyria, which is Germany. And you also have Dan missing from the list of the children of Jacob, Israel. Ephraim is also missing in Revelation chapter 7, and I do believe the reason why maybe Dan is missing is a clue and a cue that during the tribulation, Dan is going to play a role, and that's why he's missing. But he's in the blessing of Moses in Deuteronomy 33. He is in the Song of Deborah in Judges 5. Dan is also in Ezekiel, I think it's 48, when all the tribes are listed. All of them are there. And anyhow, what else did I want to say? I wanted to also mention that this area, Bavaria and this area of Czechoslovakia. I don't know if it's Czech or Slovak. It used to be called Bohemia. And if you look at the song Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen and Freddie Mercury, which was very popular when I was young, it does refer to the Messiah, and it refers to Galileo, who I believe this is a kind of an inference toward Galilee. Jesus was from Galilee, and his disciples were Galileans, and they were gathered for the first time, according to Isaiah 11:11, under the Messiah. They were compelled to go out of their captivity, the lands where they were from, and go down just like the wise men were. God gathered them supernaturally down into the area of Israel for the birth of the Messiah. It is really simply fantastic and marvelous what the Lord God Almighty can do, will do, is doing. And he will gather them all together a second time at the end of time, which is forthcoming in our lifetime. If we live long enough, we don't know how long we're going to live. We just assume we're going to live 10 years, but who knows? So that's my take on Assyria. I do believe it's tribe of Dan, king of the north. It is not. Putin is not the king of the north. Putin is probably some sort of child of Esau, I would say. He's not the same Putin that started in office years ago. They've changed him out I don't know how many times. The original Putin had a very flat face, and this one has really high cheeks. And the other one was kind of real pale. And anyway, so, and it also does say in Isaiah chapter 10, it does talk about the yoke of Assyria, because God is using Assyria. He, believe it or not, he's been using Assyria to chastise really most of the people of the earth, and they are going to be chastised themselves in the very end. There is a judgment upon Assyria. There's judgment upon Moab, the Philistines, Esau, of course, very predominant. I mean, there are judgments on Esau. Ezekiel 25, 35, 36. Where else? I was thinking of something and now I can't remember it. But there, and also in Isaiah it talks about how God is going to visit Esau, Mount Seir, Idumea. These are all names for Esau: Mount Seir, Idumea, Edom, and Esau. I do believe it's Isaiah 63 talking about all the blood that's going to be shed. Thank you for listening.